everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a video that has felt like it's been forever in the making. It is finally time to do a first impressions on my Adept palettes that I bought. So much money has gone into these 3 palettes that I don't even want to talk about, but it's time to try them and see if they're worth all of their dollars. So I just decided, you know what, if I'm going to make an Adept purchase, let's just, go all in. So I did buy all 3 of the palettes that they had at the time. So this is the infamous, or rather famous, I suppose, Plain Jane. I also got the Ninhydrin palette and Kodan. The most random names, truly, like, I don't know. But, so beautiful. I have only done tiny little swatches of these, and I have used one shade on my eyes. I believe I used, so I've used ACI 9 from the Plain Jane palette. Just because, just because I felt so, compelled to use them that I did just use one. And it was really beautiful, but I have only used one. I also did buy 2 of their singles. So Adept is really quite the brand, I will say. The owner, gotta love him. She has some interesting things that she decides to do with the brand. It's her brand. She can do whatever the fuck she wants with it. But she keeps... Things are constantly in flux, it seems. So this is the original Plain Jane palette. And this shade, ACI 10, and this shade, ACI 12, are changed. So I don't know if you can get, these 2 shades in this palette anymore. When I made the pre-order or bought it or whatever, they were selling this palette in this version, and then their replaced shades for ACI 10 and ACI 12, and they were also selling the new shades as singles. So I ended up just buying the singles. So I was like, I'm here. So this is, I believe, the replacement for ACI 10. It does not have a name or anything on the back. And this does. This says Con on the back, but I'm pretty sure this is the replacement for ACI 12. So that's the situation that we've got going on here. I'm just going to swatch these now and then do an eye look. And I believe they're all different prices. I'm pretty sure they're all in the 60 to 70 USD range, and the singles I'm pretty sure were 15 USD each. Yep, that's a lot of money. And shipping is no joke from Adept. So anyway, let's just not talk about that, shall we? Because they're here, they're purchased. Let's do some swatches. All right, so we're up close and personal. That feels okay. Hopefully. My swatches I never really know. So let's just start with Plain Jane. This is entirely shimmers. Kodan and Ninhydrin both have some mattes. So the first shade, oh my god, this is so exciting. This is ACI 1. I gotta say too, I do wish that they had real names, but alas. So I also don't have the brands, descriptions or anything. This is just entirely from my observations. This is a bronze with a gold shift. This one isn't definitely not that sparkly compared to all the rest. Then we have ACI 2. Ooh, so in comparison, this is way more sparkly. It's a neutral bronzy shade with lots of sparkle, gold and pink sparkle. It's really beautiful. And I am going to say this is really beautiful a lot. So just prepare yourselves for that. ACI 3 is a like rose gold shade. Again, tons of sparkle, like gold and pink sparkle in there. ACI 4 is a purple. It's like a lavender shade, again, with like gold sparkle, pink sparkle. These three shades almost look like they have the same like sparkle colors in them, if that makes any sense to you. Then we have ACI 5. This is a really strong duochrome. So this is a pink with a really strong gold flip. And then we have ACI 6, which looks so sparkly and beautiful. This is a pink with a really strong blue purple flip. That's so, so bright. I hope you guys can see that. Then we have ACI 7, which is another really beautiful standout shade. This is like an orangey base, but it's pretty translucent. And then there's a green flip to it. And there's also like a little bit of pink in there, I want to say as well. ACI 8 is a like bluey purple shade. Has almost like a warm base to it. The base is warm, but it's again pretty sheer. And then there's a strong blue shine to it. Then we have ACI 9, which is the shade that I have worn on my eyes. It's a green with a warm base. It's really, really beautiful. I do think, just based on like this one shade that I've used, that the swatches don't necessarily even, like they look so beautiful in the eyes. The swatches are also beautiful, but don't quite do the shadows justice. And then we have ACI 10. This is the one that was changed. So this shade is a like sheer iridescent pink. The base is very, very sheer, so it almost looks like it has a slight blue base to it, but it's not very strong at all. I think it's really pretty, but apparently the owner didn't like it. And then we have ACI 11, which is another pinky purpley blue shade. So the base of this is like a warm toned purple, and then there's a really strong like purpley blue flip. Why is my nose running? And then we have ACI 12, which I really think is a very standout shade of the palette to me. So I knew that I wanted to get the original palette just because I wanted to have this beautiful bright pink shade. Not super like flippy, but it's a warm, or what? Warm. It's a strong, like obviously really intensely hot pink, but there's gold sparkles and then also blue sparkles. So this is my finger swatch, like with the shadow swatched. So you can see kind of like the shift from the sparkle, I feel. So there is like a little bit more of a dynamicness to this shade than initially meets the eye. It's more than just your regular schmegular hot pink. So this is the really beautiful Plain Jane palette. So pretty. There's a little bit of variation in formula. This shade, the first one, ACI 1, is definitely just a metallic shade. It's really beautiful, but it doesn't have anywhere near the same level of sparkle as all of the other ones do. These three are a little bit more opaque, or these four even, and then the rest are pretty sheer, and then obviously with the exception of this hot pink. So there is like a little bit of textural differences as well, but all of them are beautiful. So let's hop into Ninhydrin now, which I did look it up, and it's some like, it's a molecule, I think, because I actually wasn't sure. I was like, this sounds like a chemistry term, and then I was like, is this just a made up word? Oh, right. I did look this up. So it's a chemical that's used to detect ammonia or primary and secondary amines. Amines? Which is, it's used to detect fingerprints, as the terminal amines of lysine residues and peptides and proteins sloughed off in fingerprints react with ninhydrin. Interesting. According to Wikipedia. Which is incredibly random, but sure. Sure. This obviously is a different packaging. This is very much like Natasha Denona packaging. Like, with her, like, why can't I think of this? With the, like, stitching here and stuff. So this is Natasha Denona Metropolis. This is Ninhydrin. Like, they look basically like the exact same packaging. I'm not gonna lie. And it feels, I actually definitely think I prefer this packaging, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't feel any type of strong negative emotions towards the plain Jane packaging. And so this is Ninhydrin, very cool toned, and the shades definitely look different. Like there's a lot, well, let's just watch it, but it seems like there's a lot of differing textures in this palette. So this is the first matte. This is ACM 31. I just don't love the name. I wish they just had regular names, but that's just me. So this is a really beautiful, like purpley gray matte. Then we have ACD 18. So this looks almost like more of a like regular metallic shade. This shade isn't as exciting to me. It's like a pink base with a gold shift, and there is like a blue shift in there as well, but not very sparkly. Then we have the shade ACI 18, which is, this is very sparkly and beautiful. It's like a warm rosy pink with lots of gold sparkle to it, so it gives it like a gold shift. It's really beautiful. We have ACI 22. This is a really like shifty shade. Not as sparkly, more of an intense metallic, but really shifty. So this has a really strong green shift. It looks like a coppery bronze, and then it shifts green. I don't know if you can see that. I will do close-up swatches, so hopefully that catches or shows better, but this is really beautiful. We have another matte. This is the second matte. This is ACM 32, which is like a pretty neutral brown. And then we have ACI 19, which is a really beautiful shade. Again, one of the more like shifty shades. It looks almost like a gray rose in the pan, and then it has a really beautiful like vibrant purple shift with almost like a green shift as well, and then there's like gray in there. That's a really unique shade. That's so pretty. Then we have ACI 20, another like blue purple shade. This feels like more of the same formula from the Plain Jane palette, where it's like a little bit sheer and super sparkly. It has a warm toned purple base with a bright blue shift to it. Then there's ACI 21, which is a really beautiful dark navy blue with tons of light blue sparkle. Then we have Ninhydrin, which is a bright purple with like a gray base. Again, a really unique color. And there's almost like a little bit of blue in there as well. Then we have ACI 23, which, if I'm not mistaken, they changed this shade from like its original launch. This is another really shifty color. It's like a black base with a warm toned purple shift. There's also a little bit of gold, and then it shifts to like a navy blue. We'll see if you can see that. And then we have ACI 24. Lots of blues going on in this palette. This is another very shifty shade. Blue to green to purple. That is beautiful. There's a lot of like, Plain Jane was very sheer and sparkly. This is like way darker and way more shifty. And then the last shade in this palette is ACI 25, which is a green shade. This is one of those like sheer sparkly shades. And it shifts from like a brighter green to almost like a grayed out green. Maybe with some purple in there as well, but that's not super obvious. This is, again, really beautiful. You get a ton of different textures in here, all the way from matte to like more subtle shimmers, textured shimmers, to like really shifty metallic shades. So this gives you a little bit of everything, I feel. And one of the things too that is exciting, or I think the selling point of these palettes is, and the way that I mostly have viewed them, is it's basically, because you can remove all of the shades, they're magnetized, so you can take them out, you can use them as singles. So I feel like for me, it's just buying a whole bunch of really beautiful singles. And in that way as well, the price is it's a little bit more justified, because buying this many singles, especially like indie, shifty, sparkly singles, is going to cost you a good amount of money anyway. All right, so last palette, this is smaller. This is Codan, again with lots of like really beautiful shifty shades. Then we have ACI 28, which is a steely blue. It's like a gunmetal, like, yeah, like blue with almost like, it's almost like a gunmetal shade, like a silvery blue. It's really pretty. Again, not really shifty, but it's very like sparkly and textured. Then we have ACI 29, which is another blue. Again, not really very shifty. It's a little bit of a brighter blue. Then we have a matte. This is ACM 33, which is a hot pink, which feels like an interesting choice for this palette, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a really beautiful pink shade, swatched really smoothly. Then we have Kodan, which is a bright chartreusey green. It's like a yellowy green. Again, not very shifty, not super sparkly either, just like a very bright metallic shade. We have ACI 31. This is a pinky purple shade. Maybe just more pink. It has like an orangey base to it with a cooler toned like pinky purple flip. And then we have ACI 32, which is another like black based multi-chrome shade. Not as shifty as ACI 27. It's like a burgundy with a gold and pink shift. Well, okay, so it's like burgundy red to like true red, and then there's also gold in there. Then we have ACI 33. This has like a dark base that almost has like a warmth to it with a blue and green shift. And then we have ACM 34, which is a like teal matte. The mattes actually swatch very nicely. They look really smooth, really pretty. So, oh, and then let me do the singles. So this is the single that's replacing ACI 10 from the Plain Jane palette. It's a really beautiful bright blue with a teal shift as well as a pink shift. So looking from this side, it looks like bright teal. In the mirror in front of me, and probably to you, it looks like pinky blue. That is absolutely gorgeous. And then we have the one replacing ACI 12. This feels like a really shifty, like black base multi-chrome as well. So it feels kind of similar to this one up here, which was ACI 27. It has like a burgundy, like very strong, like pink shine to it, and then green and kind of like a bronze. Really beautiful. I just don't know what to do because there's so many options. So I'm going to do like up close swatches, and if everything goes according to plan, like individual swatches as well. So I'm going to run those and then we can decide what to do with the eyes because there's too many options and I feel like I just have no idea what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna go for it and do this shade, this really shifty shade from the Kodan palette all over my lids. Just because I really never used a shade like that before and I just desperately want to try it. So I'm going to just initially start with a shade that's not from one of these palettes. I'm going to go into the shade Bossa Nova from the Kaleidos Escape Pod palette. Just as a transition shade in my crease, just a neutral brown. Okay, so I'm going to go into the Ninhydrin palette. I'm going to use the shade ACM23, which is this almost like, it's a neutral brown. I almost want to say it has like a little bit of green to it, but maybe that's just it compared to the packaging. I don't know. And I'm probably just gonna do this in my outer corner and through my crease. I feel like I haven't heard anything incredible about the mattes. Like, I feel like people just use them because they're in the palettes. They're like, I might as well, but I feel like I don't really hear that many people rave about like Adept's matte formula. Although it feels really nice so far. Like, look at that. But I will say, like, I probably would have preferred just a palette of shimmery shades, but whatever. I actually really like that color. Oh, and I guess I should also probably mention that I've set my eyes using, I have set my eyes. And I've primed my eyes with the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. And then I'm just going to take a totally clean brush and blend this out a little bit. I really like that shade. I really like the tone of it. It's super, super neutral. I'm a fan, and it blended and like built really well. No complaints over here from me so far. I'm going to take the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I'm going to take the shade Good As Gone. I just want like a neutral matte brown. I think the other shade that I was going to use would be too like gray blue, especially for the shade that I think I want to use all over my lids. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that, take this neutral brown and run it through my crease, and then be back to do the lid action. All right, everyone, it is now the exciting time to go in with a shimmer shade. I'm just going to follow my gut, which tells me to use ACI 27 from the Kodan palette. Not sure if it's gonna match with this very neutral crease, but we've already made it this far. I mentioned this already, but I've never used a like black based multi-chrome that's like so intensely shifty like this before. So I'm very excited. I'm having a moment with myself here. And I'm just gonna put this all over the lid. I am just taking this on a little flat brush. I just wet it with some water. That is pretty, you guys. The grocery store is gonna be quaking. Initially, just like facing forward, it looks really red. Like a blackened red. It's applying really well, like really smoothly. It's picking up on the brush and depositing well. It's nice. I think it's going to be difficult to capture this shift because even it's hard to see just in this lighting right now for me. But when I turn my face to the side, it looks really green. And then even it's like green, red, green, like depending on like the contours of my eye and where it hits the light. Quite nice, quite nice. That's really, really beautiful. I absolutely love that. I love the tone of the shade as well. It's like a really grungy, like reddy, bronzy shade. And then it has that really intense bright green shift. There's almost like orange in there as well because it has that bronze to it. I love it so much. It's like kind of like Christmas in a shadow as well because it's like red and green. which normally isn't my thing, but I could get down with grungy Christmas. I'm going to take a little bit more of the ACI M32 shade and run this over the front of my eye. And then I'm just going to take Good Is Gone and use this to deepen up my outer corner as well. I will go in with the black just to make things really dark, and then run this through the front of my crease just to make sure the depth is all still there after adding the shimmer. And then I'm also just going to blend this out as well so it's not like a super harsh line. And then I'm just going to go back into Bossa Nova from Kaleidos and use this to blend her all out. Then I'm going to take ACI 27 on my finger and intensify that. And it honestly, it doesn't even really need intensifying because it's just so beautiful by itself. Oh, so I'm just so happy with this. I honestly feel like I want to just keep this, like, I don't know, I kind of just want the shade to be the focus. So I might just quickly just do my lower lash line and just use all the shades that I used in my crease in my lower lash line, and then I'll figure out what I want to do for my inner corner. Alright, so I just did my lower lash line. I also put some black in my outer corner. I just used the black from the Born to Run palette. Not really important. And I've been contemplating what I want to do in my inner corner, and I just don't know. It's a lot going on, even though it's like just one shadow all over the lid. Might not work out, but I think I'm going to take the shade ACI 17. There's not really a lot of like light shades, like light iridescent shades that would work for like me perfectly for an inner corner. Personally, I'm not super mad at that, but this probably is our best bet other than using ACI 10, which is just gonna be pink. So I don't really know if I want that. Feels super soft, this shade, like very basically cream, which I know a lot of people say. I did get that one spray, and I'm just putting this on here as a little pop, I guess. I will say though too, just based on initial impressions, typically shadows with textures like this don't always transfer like onto a brush and then onto your eye super well, but I have been finding that they work really, really well. And I'm not doing anything like extra special or anything like that to try to make them work. They're just doing it on their own, which I very much appreciate. Yeah, and like even though they look so beautiful in swatches, I just feel like they just catch the light so nicely on the eye and really, for lack of a better word, shine like the best there. Oh yes, please. Just taking that with my pinky now. I mean, look at that. Maybe not the most like beautiful, perfect combination, but they're beautiful by themselves and they are beautiful together. You can also see like a pinky shift as well with this ACI 7 shade when it's on my inner corner. So nice. I absolutely love it. So I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I could keep adding more, but I will do more videos with this. So I'm just going to leave it here. I'm going to finish up my face, put something on my lips, and then be back to give my final impressions, first impressions, final thoughts. Okay, and this is my look. All finished. I have to say, I feel like the coolest person in the entire world. This is so, I love the shade all over my lid. I think it is so nice. I feel like black based multi-chromes are going to be like my new favorite thing in the entire world because I love grungy eyeshadow and it feels like grungy eyeshadow but like colorful. I don't know. I really love it. Even though I only use 2 shimmer shades, I think they're so pretty, and truly like this like ring lights and like artificial lighting I feel like really don't do these types of shades justice, because I went into our bathroom, I also had a snack, and I looked and like at these shadows on my arm in like direct sunlight, and then also in our bathroom lighting. And I might just insert a short little clip here because I feel like this lighting doesn't do it justice, and like they're so sparkly and beautiful and shifty and just absolutely stunning. So I'm just so looking forward to playing with these more. I will 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, do more videos on these. I probably will do like X looks, one palette with these, using all of the shades and looks by themselves. That's kind of my plan. When I will film that, I have no idea, but I have a lot of time to film coming up because I am unemployed, so hopefully I'll be able to get those done. But I've just loved using these. Truly, it's been such a joy. Although I've only used, well, I've used these two and then I've used one just on my own time. I will say it did crease just a little tiny bit towards the end of the day. They are really creamy shadows, and normally I have no issues with creasing ever, full stop, period. NARS eyeshadow, NARS smudge proof eyeshadow base is like the best. My eyeshadow, I don't have any issues with it lasting, but it was nothing that I couldn't just tap out. I just do want to mention it though. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have that much to say because I've only used these once. The mattes, the one matte shade that I used, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by, because I feel like I haven't heard overwhelmingly like positive things, not overwhelmingly negative things either, but like it was a really nice matte shade, so that was a plus. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully the up close swatches, number one, worked out the way that I want them to, and number two, were helpful. I will say here as well that those are entirely inspired by Lauren May Beauty. This is just a channel of me trying to be Lauren May Beauty. But yeah, I just do want to mention that. I will link her channel down below because she also did swatches of, I believe, Ninhydrin and Plain Jane, and they were really good. I didn't even tell you what's on my lips. On my lips is the Sephora Cream Lip Stain in the shade 21. I just have random lashes from Amazon on, and everything else that is on my face right now will be in the description box. Let me know if you guys picked these up or if you've been interested in Adept. I know they're pretty polarizing. I've heard a lot of stories about people not having the best experiences with them, and based on the owner's comments on social media, I'm not entirely surprised by that. But yeah, let me know if you have these. Do you like them? Do you think they're overpriced? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.